Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another car video. There are two worlds. Two worlds. And when I say speak worlds, it's more in a psychological sense, more in, well, you could even call it a cultural thing to some extent. Um, especially when we're talking about relationships. Because, okay, I'm known for talking about select and non select. But then there's also, some other people say alpha and beta. Some people will say, Chad, Tyrone, Normie, sub fives and stuff. Well, that's three worlds on there. But, 80-20 and stuff. And I was thinking about that because, you know what? Everybody saw my video today, being a thorough man. Being a thorough man, just being that man who can hit on all cylinders. That's always been my program. Let me see if y'all hear a windshield wipe in the background. It's raining, but the show goes on. But anyway, yeah, my program has always been being that thorough man, having the best traits of the nice guy, which they really do. People might say, talk all this trash, call them a square, corny, but they good. A true nice guy, not a fake me out nice guy. Because you got some guys say they nice, but they scuzzy as hell. They just say it. And you got some generally good guys, generally good men, and stuff. Generally, I say like true nice guys, good guys. Women like them at least platonically. Because women have dual needs when they deal with a man, both emotional and physical, primal. So, the nice guy takes care of the emotional stuff, but then the player takes care of the physical needs. And, it's interesting. It's interesting because, some people try to put down the player, but they not holding a gun to a woman's head. So they obviously have something that the woman wants. And what they'll have is they turn the woman on sexually. Because, trust me, a man can't even really lie to a woman. Some people might say, well, that nice player's lying to a woman. No, he told her something, and he might think it's a lie. And look, fellas, women see through lies. They see through lies because they're examining you from head to toe. They're paying attention and stuff. You could tell them a lie one day and then they still mess with you. 6 months later, y'all having a fight, she'll remind you about the lie. No, she messing with you because she wants to be with you anyway. Sometimes they just let a man go. Because, and a pimp will tell you, women choose the man anyway. Women choose the man particularly for sex. So a nice guy and a player, he's that thorough dude. So, but, I addressed a lot of that stuff in the Thorough Man video. Check it out. But I was just thinking about it because you have two worlds, especially, not just even on the relationship thing. You just don't have that select guys who do well with women. Yeah, they can, honestly, a woman can still reject them. A woman can still break up from them. They can still have hell. They can still get cheated on. Right? They can have all that. Thing is, it's easier for them to get another woman, so they'll get over the pain and stuff. They generally have a good view of women, whilst, if you go to the other side, you might have some guys who can get, they on the edge of select and stuff. You got some, it ranges from guys who maybe just need a tweak here and there to become select, and guys who just totally jacked up, ain't getting sex, everything. That's becoming a big deal in society. Indeed, in many countries in the world. They're talking about the men who ain't getting anything. So, but the thing is, it's two different mindsets. It's two different mindsets, two different worlds, two different ways of thinking, two different perceptions. One group of men, they struggling against women. They say, oh, they don't do this, they don't do that. Meanwhile, the select group, shoot, their biggest issue is just finding a particular woman. That's the only issue. That's the only major issue. Because if a woman say, well, I don't want to deal with you anymore, he got other women to deal with. Even if he's a monogamous man, he still got a lineup. If he tell, shoot, he could be married or something, and you know what? He could divorce. The woman could want to divorce him. And shoot, he'll move out the place. He be in the home. Shoot, he'll bless that home with another woman. Shoot, maybe that day she might help him move. But you know what? But it's bigger than just the sex. But because one thing I'm seeing too, and this ties into what I said about the thorough man. You get a lot of these guys that you might call select. Most of them, not all of them, of course, but they also doing well in other areas of life. Like I had somebody commented, and I don't know why the comment didn't show up on the public thing. I still don't know why. Yesterday, it was a disagreement, about the whole thing about guys hating on players, and the commenter was saying, yeah, these players are this and that and bad and all of that, but that's only a small portion that men focus on, And when you say players, let's just say it's not even so much as players, it's just guys who attract multiple women. And some go for it, some don't. But they still going to attract them. But usually they have other stuff going on. Hence, we get into the thorough man thing. Because of the guys I've known personally. See, here's the thing. Remember, y'all might see me in the car, and I might look like some dude, might not have styled, I might got that, like, just everyday working class look and everything. But shit, when I can research stuff on a professional level, trained to do so, really. And one of the things I've researched are particularly, not even so much, you can call them players, but womanizers, guys who get multiple women and stuff. Men who get multiple women. But one of the interesting things I found is they would tend to have other things going on in their lives. They just weren't just successful with women. That was like the fun part, the reward part and stuff. A big thing with them was they would be successful in other arenas in life. I always talk about the buffalo wings in the corn, sitting in the corn eating the buffalo wings. But one thing I hadn't mentioned in a long time, I mentioned before a gentleman who owned 3 restaurants, serving buffalo wings. In fact, a 3rd restaurant, and I mentioned this on one of my private sites, really wasn't just buffalo wings and stuff. He had a contract to serve food at a government facility. Yet he was thorough on many other levels, though. He at the time he had a count of 800 women. And somebody might say, that's bullshit. But then I had more than one occasion to see how women interacted with him and how they looked at him and everything. And there's several of the men that I've interviewed, given surveys. Some people know I've given them surveys. They would have more stuff going on. But then if you look at their greater lives, they weren't just like some guys just getting women. Most of them. In fact, the number of serious homosexuals kept men I might encounter, I can count on 2 hands. And I got a strain to do that. I got to think hard. So, you had some guys up here, okay. Indeed, the black pillars would call some of these guys Chads and Tyrones. Or if they bring in other races, Changs, Enriques, or whatever term they use and stuff. But then the guys also, you talk to the men themselves, you'd be like, oh yeah, we have, you'd be like, oh yeah, we got this degree here. We got this law degree. We got this MBA. I own this like $1 million business and stuff, And it's like you look at them, and then even the ones who might not have wanted to like mess with multiple women find women, like, and they be hitting on all levels and stuff. And it was just a different world. Like at this gym I worked at, I told you I worked at gyms. Like this one gym, it would have male exotic dancers, but then other guys working out there that you really couldn't tell the difference between them, who was who. So, one of the things I found with the guys who weren't dancers, you find out what they did for a living. They were engineers. One was an engineer. Shoot, we had a signal for when different women would come in, because they would just chase him down, even though he made it clear he was married. They didn't care. But he was an engineer, bench 400, probably could have modeled if he wanted, because he was a serious pretty boy. He was a muscular pretty boy. Another dude, shoot, he could bench 400, had a bad wife. He was pushing a Mercedes. He could box. I remember one time in the locker room and stuff, they had to clean out some stuff in the locker room. He in there conducting business with somebody. And I'm saying, I'm using these examples, man, just saying about just a different world, because one of the things I found through serious research and just using the terms I use, select men and non-select. A significant number of non-select men don't have anything going. I mean, it's not just they just not getting the women. They don't have anything going on. Seriously. And now I know somebody would say, well, I know this guy, he's having trouble with women, but he making all this money. I say the significant number. Nothing's 100%. Indeed, even in really, quite frankly, the guys who making some money doing some stuff, they are what Cousin Tito would call pre-select. They just need a couple. They just need maybe a good coaching session with them. Wait, hold on. Sorry about that cough. I ain't gonna edit it out. Man, this weather is crazy in Maryland. It's April and stuff, and still gotta pop that heat sometime. But anyway, you got a lot of those guys who some people will look at and say, well, women don't want that successful. Actually, they do. Because whenever I've talked with the guys or something, it was always just a mindset thing. They were just right on the edge, a couple tweaks. Shit, sometimes they might, honestly, it could be something as little as growing their beard and then just having the right attitude. And quite frankly, a lot of times with those, they were seriously non-select in life. And even though they built up, they still hadn't made that mental jump to it. But those are only a small percentage. Because let's be real out here. If a man, look, even though I'm not big on pushing money and everything, a portion of the select men, part of their appeal is their financial position. And it's not even about them tricking on the women, but rather the lifestyle they live in. Especially if you talk about, like educated women. If the dude's educated, women going to give him a shot. Only problem with that is once a woman gets past all of that initial stuff, she rarely likes what she sees. That's the problem. That's why in my book they call masked men. But even they are living on a different level. They're kind of in between. I'll put it like that. But if you say seriously select, they getting the women like crazy, regardless of how much money they got. But they got, they can drive vehicles. Like, in this day and time, if you can just do some of that stuff and then live a certain life, it's a different perspective. Because if you really look at a significant amount of non-select men, let's just be real. They don't have shit going on. Let's just keep it at 100. The overwhelming majority. Now they'll try to lean on the ones who got something going on and say, yeah, but they know they ain't. I mean, come on, man. Like even in these spaces, you get some people trying like, oh, they this, they that. No, they ain't. First of all, there was a content creator talking about how smart some black pillars were. I gotta call them on that, because if how you got time to be on these pages then if you work in a serious job? I work for myself and I don't have time to be on these pages like that. Shoot, I don't have to work for anybody. And plus, I know professionals. I know professionals. They more focused. They might jump on here for something to do, but they ain't gonna be commenting a lot. and stuff. But most of the guys who are non-select, it's not even just the women thing that they having trouble dealing with. It's just life. A whole lot of them really are living in the basement. A whole lot of them really might have some penny ante job or something. Barely make it. Seriously, you start talking when you start seeing it, it was like, well, shit, what else you got? Because like it or not, with women, you still get used basically sex appeal and nest appeal. There was a young lady who used to comment a lot of times on my pages who pointed that out. But when you start looking at the whole thing, it's two different worlds. It really is. It's two different worlds. And I'm going to tell you what. See, I realized, and I've been knowing this a while. I ain't talking about it a lot. I started talking about this on my Raw site, my Connect Pile site. Initially, I put a question to the fellas there about that. Because, but I would see stuff like that. Even when I first put out my book, I told you, most of the guys who got something from my book were either already select or just needed one little thing. Guys who were non-select, the nice guys, they wouldn't even touch the book. Like when I would sell, like directly when I was vending, those guys would that would be some hell. I'm serious trying to get them to pick it up. They needed it the most. Guys who didn't need it, you can look at them, thorough, got shit going on. Oh yeah, let me get a couple copies. I give some. In fact, I had one dude who was a model. He got copies of my book and was selling it to other people. Shoot, we were doing business and stuff. And speaking of which, we still Facebook friends. We ain't talking well over a decade, but we still Facebook friends and stuff. This dude, a model, had 28 women a year was a slow year for him and stuff. But that dude's a contractor. He can fix houses. Had his business. Always had that business and stuff. But it's just a whole different mindset. It's a whole different world and everything. Go ahead, man. And it's two different worlds. Because I've seen glimpses of it. Because I'm gonna be real with you. My world has mostly been select. Even though, I mentioned, I was definitely more non-select when I was in college, definitely, but that was more lower level select, and just in comparison. But if you look at the bigger picture, stuff is going well. There's always been some girl that was showing some interest, always. Even some I would consider attractive. Shoot, even during like the non-select time on my college campus, there was still some cuties that were giving Rom some attention and stuff. But it's a different world from someone who, one, they're not in that environment, because just being even going to a college or something, that's putting you in a position to go to a higher level. Some people try to look down on that shit, but look, let's just keep it a buck. In this society, that helps you up. Because like when I was working retail, they wouldn't let anybody, if somebody wanted to become a manager, they had to have a degree. I know this one young lady and stuff, she had to start taking some classes and stuff in order to move up, even though she had the talent already. And you know what, that's another conversation about that. Because you have, in a society that have many checks to keep people from doing something. That's a whole other conversation. But, it does come down. It's a different world. And see, I think that's where the problems are, because a lot of problems are because the worlds are kind of splitting apart, The worlds are kind of splitting apart. One, it's hard for people to understand people. Like, I'm going to be real. Like, there's some people who hit me up and stuff, and they'll say in the comments, they say, hey, man, you should have 1 million subs. You should have. I don't expect it. If I get to 100,000, I'll be all right getting to 50,000, because I realize one thing. My stuff is more for men who are in that world where they doing well with women. Indeed, most of the consultations I'll do with men, it's more about how to manage a woman, not how to get it, or how to deal with that cougar coming for you, or how to deal with two women who both want to marry you and all of that. That's more where my stuff is at. And it's a different world, because some guys are like, well, I can't even get a woman. I mentioned some the other day about having a conversation. The guy said, these women don't be talking. And I was thinking about that. I was like, well, shoot, women be talking to me when I don't feel like being bothered. I'd be like sitting back like, damn, I just want to sit here and chill. I'd be like minding my business and stuff, be saying hi to me. And some guys can relate to that. But then some guys, they can't get anything. And I know some guys will say, well, it's how you look and all of that. Nah, they only play a small part. They do play a part, but it's the whole picture, where you at, everything. And really, your mindset, how you carrying yourself too. Everything plays a part. But it really is just two worlds, man. Two worlds. It really is. I'm seeing that those worlds are splitting apart. When I talked about my player thing, stop hating on them, shoot, learn from them. Because one thing about getting into that other world, getting into that select world, there are no barriers to getting into at least the mindset. Really, it ain't. If you look at it, especially if you look at it on a thorough level, there's no barriers to it. You can always get an education. You can always work on something to make money, make a lot of money, become a sovereign man. You can always do that. Man, it's cool. She pushing up carry. She pushing up shopping cargo. She keeping her stuff dry. But anyway, you can always get there. See, one of the things I realized though, like I was talking about, these thorough dudes. Some dudes will call them Chad, Tyrones, and all of that. And let me speak on it, because a lot of people talk about some genetics and stuff. Nobody seems to point out, like, if you're going to talk just about those Chads and Tyrones, they got athletic bodies. You know what they had to do? They had to work out. They had to play some ball or something. Shoot, those be the ones in the gym. They had to work to get to that point. They had to figure it out. Like, I know this guy, and I mentioned him several times. Dude looked like Chad, Zac Efron. He looked like, except he is 6'1" version of Zac Efron and everything. But I saw how he worked to get to that point. He lifted and everything. Also, went to school. He doing some stuff now. I give it to him. He a cop now, but that's what he wanted to do. And incidentally, just being successful is ultimately doing what you want to do. But, he's success. He just had it going on. But he worked, when I'm in the gym, I see how all these guys worked. Ain't nobody just, man, the most somebody can be born with is just the potential to do something. The potential to have a certain body type, the potential. They still got to work. You still got to go to the gym and stuff. And then we talking about success in life is work. Nobody's handing you any money. You might be lucky to get a trust fund. But even then, you got to work to keep it. Like, I know this dude, another dude like that on that thorough thing, but he had a down period and stuff. He cool dude and stuff. I might catch up with him, get him on here, and he'll tell you. But that dude had a trust fund. He showed me, he had 2 trust funds. He showed me one. I was like, dude, you can hook me up with a loan. He could have. This dude, his trust fund, he could have bought, at the time, with the price of houses, man, he could have bought like 5 or 6 houses cash and stuff. But even then, even though he was handed that, he still had to work to get to where he was. And then he still had to work to have the body he had. He still had to work. In fact, he ain't like, the trust fund was just something to back up. He worked to the point, that dude making 6 figures without the trust fund. It's just there for him. But he worked. And, definitely select. I was in a position to see how women were throwing it at him. That shit was kind of funny. I gotta find that dude's number. I think I can find it somewhere. I'm gonna holler at him. That dude was thorough. But, he worked. These guys work. That's the thing. These guys worked. And any man can, and I'm going to tell you what, I don't care who you are. If you want something as a man, you can work to get there. If you want something, you know. That's why I don't like that sad sack shit. Because I'm going to tell you something now. I'm in a very good sovereign position now, but I had to work. I had to work. I had to go through some serious shit. You know? Hell, and I mentioned this on my business channel. And this is for the detractors and stuff. I'm going to take away something to document. My credit was jacked up because of some stuff back in 2000 dealing with my grandmother's passing. It messed me up because I had to come out my pocket to bury her properly and stuff. And there was some other stuff. It was hell. I'll put it like that. But it messed me up. Shit. But I worked back to the point where I can walk into any place now and they trying to hand me money. So I worked. You know, and that's just the life, man. You know, if you want to be in that world where you getting the women, you living the life you want, you living where you want to live, you driving what you want, you having some joy in your life, you just got to work. That world is open and it got openings in it. It got openings. You know, if you want to have that body and stuff, boom, you can work. You know? Don't have any excuses. Don't be like, well, I'm this and I'm that. I'm a shoot. I mean, whatever. You can do whatever. You can do it. Seriously. You can do it. There ain't no excuses. Because it wasn't handed to them. Like I said, let me use the Chad and Tyrone. Shit wasn't handed to them. They had to work. Whatever they had to work for it. They had to figure out shit. Because like I said, I actually talked to, whether you want to call them Chads, Tyrones, even players, womanizers, all of them could tell me when they had to work. They could tell me when they were rejected by a woman. And they said, well, this is what I had to do. You know? They could tell me when they were probably, and there was plenty of guys who were non-select who built into the select. And they tell me what they had to do, what they had to go through and stuff. In fact, that's most guys, you know? Because I say they are portion of guys who got whatever traits and genetics within them naturally, but they still gotta bring it out. And then some other guys, okay, you know what? Maybe they don't have like the raw genetics, but they build up what they have. You know? And that's the thing. That is the thing. You know? So the question you need to ask yourself, which world you want to live in? You want to live in a world where you're dealing with attractive women, and realistic attractive. I ain't talking like some dimes or something. They rare. I'm talking about, I say, it definitely like minimum 7. Minimum 7. Like you can routinely meet 7s. Most women ain't in that, even in that range, but to the point some 7s can look like dimes to the average dude. But at least if you around one, you can get it. You want to work to that point. Okay, that's just one thing. That's just one thing. Oh, also, she's cooperative. I'm going to tell you what, when you're in that world, for the most part, the women going to be cooperative and feminine. Because the feminine women, they want a powerful man. That's just how he look, or how he carry himself. All right. So you want to work to that point. All right. So you want that. That's just the women. You want to work to where you don't have to live in a place where you got to go out, you know, every time you hear a sound or something outside, you got to worry about somebody on your car or something. You got to shoot. You got to have a murder walk as you walking down the street. You know, you want to have that great place to live. And especially if you want a family, you want a great place for them to be. You want all of that, but you got to work for it. Ask yourself what you want. Or if you want to live a bachelor lifestyle, okay. You want to live in when you got a nice crib. You know, maybe have that like nice apartment, condo, shoot. Have that like loft apartment, whatever you want, however you want to live, but it's your joint. And you want to cruise in a nice car that ain't giving you hell every other day. You know? And you want to be able to travel to where you want to travel. So which world you want to live? Or do you want to just suffer? Have trouble dealing with some women who, quite frankly, are facially and bodily challenged, who got attitudes. Or, you know, you want to live in, you know, not even live in your own spot. Or if you do get a spot, it's in a worse situation where, shoot, you got like critters up in there, roaches and mice and stuff, you know? That's even if you get the place. Or do you want to be in that situation when you working on some job that's some bullshit, but you just doing it for some basic survival and stuff? I want y'all to think about that. Which world you want to live in, alright? So anyway, yo, I'm running here to get my vittles and everything. Yeah, man. Yeah, for those in Harford County, I'm at Wegmans right now. If you happen to be in here too, oh, that's right, you ain't gonna see this. I'm gonna upload it later and stuff. So anyway, just in general though, you live in Harford County, you see me in these places, walk up slow. That's all I say, walk up slow. Anyway, y'all, I get back with y'all